Welcome to Fraser Mac Gaming. I'm Fraser Mac. This is the latest in my I Love Nindies series. I'm going to go through all the latest indie games releasing on the eShop and trying to bring you things that I like the look of and think you should check out. So today I'm going to talk about Invisigun Reloaded. It's the debut game from Somber Studio. It did actually release on Steam in 2017. It was under the title Invisigun Heroes, so it's come to Switch. It literally released just yesterday at time of recording, so August 22nd. It's around £16 on the UK eShop and $20 in the US eShop. Somber Studios were good enough to provide me with a review key for the game, but as always, a review key does not equal a good review, so let's get into Invisigun Reloaded and check out what it's all about. So Invisigun Reloaded, you may have grasped, is not quite like other games. So as you can see in the trailer, it's very much about sneak and stealth, and it's got some very interesting game mechanics. So the game is very helpful. It has a tutorial at the start, which kind of takes you through some of the interesting elements, but essentially you are invisible through the majority of the game. Now don't worry, there are ways to make it easier, and there are ways for you to learn how to play through the game and get used to the kind of mechanic. It may sound strange, but essentially it is like a puzzle game where you have to actually figure out how to complete levels in a story mode, and once you graduate from the tutorial academy you'll be dropped in. But if you're not one for puzzles, you can actually play in battle mode and online battle modes, so there's lots of variety in the game. So this is the main screen. You can have a hero's journey. You can play as 12 different characters. You can actually practice your moves, so there's actually like a training area. There's also like profiles of your heroes. You can play, obviously, like I said, online matches against friends. We'll talk about that a bit more later. So there's lots of options. There's lots of ways to practice the game. Obviously, in the options, you get some simple things around language, colour palette. You can have replays, so almost like Katana Zero, that instantly rewinds and replays. It has that kind of element in it as well. You can have lots of like screen shake and rumble. You can edit the music. It's all presented really well. There's lots of thought gone into it, but essentially I'm going to jump into the story mode now. So what it'll do before the levels, the game is really good because it's a really novel idea. Obviously it's like a sneak stealth puzzle battling game, but in the story mode essentially it's puzzles, but you've got to get through these levels using the different abilities of your characters, because there's 12 different characters, but they've all kind of got unique play styles. But essentially the game tries to fill you in, and without hand-holding too much, it gives you an idea of what kind of moves would help on a level and what you might be able to do to kind of progress, and there are checkpoints, etc. It tries to make the game accessible as possible, but like I said before, there are 12 characters. So there's Celine, there's Ether. They've all got different play styles, they've got different maneuvers, because they all have a basic shot, but then they have a special ability that'll help you progress through the level or help you in battles. So I played a lot as Iris, who is actually a dasher who has a quick burst of speed, and the story mode and the levels that she plays on are actually suited to her abilities. Now Carmen and our character, Phoebe, you can see people that have got really unique abilities like teleporting. Proteus is one I played in the battle mode against, and I think obviously it can deploy like a drone type weapon. Ronan, one I'm not so familiar with. But you can see they're all very different, they're all quite cute. The art style's really well made. I played as Selena a lot, who has a double jump. It's kind of one I thought would be really easy to start with. The levels obviously start off fairly simple, but as you can see on screen, you can't see where you are. It's tile based, and you need to have a mental picture in your head of where you've moved to. So using a thumbstick is quite complicated. I think essentially you need to use a D-pad and you need to move step by step. But each level has these little screens where you've got a robot who can give you some instructions and chat to you, a little bit of story, and then you have these videos that are almost like little tutorials. It's showing you the different maneuvers and the different obstacles and what you might have to do to overcome that level and how you get to the exit. So it's not going to tell you how to do the level, but it's going to show you the kind of useful moves and what could help you get to the end of the level. So there's usually a mixture. There might be one or two. Some levels there's 3 or 4. There's different obstacles come in. There's different enemies, because there's all sorts of different levels. There's a real great variety in the presentation, but also the obstacles. Some are puzzle based on the switches. Some are ones where you've actually got to get past lasers. Some there's sensor guns, so they actually sense your movement or your special abilities, or if you knock into something, they will be able to tell that you've done that, and they'll be able to fire weapons. Some have got almost like heat seeking. Some have got some really fast spinning spikes. There's lots of different variety. There's been a lot of thought gone into the story mode and the level design, and at times you will think, I don't actually know if we can get to the end. It starts off reasonably straightforward, but fairly quickly jumps into levels that are very complicated. The good thing, there are checkpoints. There's also interesting elements. So some levels, there are environmental hazards, and you've only got a certain amount of time to get to the end. So you can play this game, obviously, in the full invisible mode. You'll see a kind of variety of levels here. There's a level here based on switches, but they're all colour-coded, so you've got to try and think your way through. It's almost like a maze, but based on colour switches. It's not straightforward. If you were a real precision person, you'd think your way through it. I just trial and errored it. Obviously, the other thing is, you're going to die a lot in this game. There are checkpoints. When you cross them, they will light up, and if you do die, to avoid that frustration of having to do something really difficult and try and overcome something again, it will essentially zap you back, and it will rewind and zap you back really quickly to the checkpoint, because you will get to sections where you think, I cannot do this. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get through this. You'll try it dozens and dozens of times. Well, maybe not dozens, but you'll try it several times, get stuck. You think you know what you're doing, but you can't quite pull it off. But then the joy when you actually pull that manoeuvre off, that one time you can do it, it's fantastic. And then there's the worry, the apprehension of another manoeuvre you might need to do that's complicated, that doesn't have a checkpoint, and you're going to have to go and do it all again. But I think that's the risk and reward of the game that it talks about a lot in its marketing. The variety is there, it's fantastic, but it's going to make you think. It's also going to work on your reactions. It's going to work on how you get used to the abilities that the characters have. I really liked playing as Iris with the dash. I thought those levels were fun. And what I'd say is, I struggled a lot, but the game is really accessible. It's something I really like in games where they put a lot of thought in. You can play it in a ghost mode where you can actually see the outline of your character. Now, what I'd say is the puzzles don't really get much easier, but it takes away that element of you not being able to keep track of where you are, because the movements and some of the levels start to get very complicated, the timing. The story mode is a lot of fun. I'm about 10% of the way through, but the other thing is you can actually play in battle modes as well, so arena battles with this invisible element. There are no ghost modes in this, but you play obviously against, potentially like 3 other people or 3 other bots. I've only played it against the computer, but there's a mixture of different planets you can play on. I think around 6 different planets, different boards you can play on. Obviously all the 12 different characters are available, and essentially you can play with lots of different versions. You can control areas, or it's a survival mode, it's who gets the most shots and kills. But it's very fast, it's really interesting. There's lots of stats around, how many steps you've taken, how many shots you've fired, and you get achievements based off how you perform. Now, you can play that in lots of different levels. So you can play on easy, normal, or hard. I started on easy, and essentially I was able to wipe out the computer straight away, didn't lose a single round, and it was like I played on first to 4, so it was very easy. I then played on normal, and it was more challenging. It was neck and neck. So there's lots of options in there, and I like the fact that there's lots of cool little achievements. There's things to aim for. You're picking up things and you feel like you're achieving something, you are progressing. The more you practice, you do feel like you get better. And I know not that many games on Switch have got achievements, but I like looking at things like this. I like numbers. I like seeing what I can do, what challenges there are. And the best thing now about games being online, I imagine there'll be things that could be added to this. If the game does well, there could be new challenges, because it doesn't seem like at the moment that there's daily or weekly challenges, but you never know if it gets a fan base. I think this game's really good. It's really creative. It's really unique. I remember when I was much younger, and I'm talking way back in the 90s, I'm sure I played something that had a kind of invisible stealth battle element, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was. The one frustrating thing for me is there are online matches. I've searched, obviously I had a review key, so I had it a few days before release. I've searched on each day since I've had the game. I've not been able to get an online match yet. Now, before release, I wasn't too surprised. The game has only been out, 24 hours or so. I really wanted to try online matches. So far, I've not been able to do that, so I don't know what the quality of the online is, but it's a game I think would work fantastically well online. Because the stealth story mode, I think it really tickles your kind of planning, thought, your stealth, your puzzle solvers, and in a more action way, and it's really colourful. I love the pixel art, it looks fantastic, but the battle mode will definitely get your kind of groups of friends. There's so many areas to play on, so many characters to kind of play as. There's interesting weapons that drop, there's different ways you can play it. So I think, it's a game that's packed with so much content. I really enjoyed it. I think it's challenging in the puzzles. But the battle mode, I really like the idea. I just wish I had a chance to play locally or online against other people. I think that could really make this game take off. But so far, I don't really think it's got an audience. I hope it really does, because I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's really interesting. I think there's a lot to this. I'm going to play a lot more. I'll hopefully be able to play some online matches, and it's something I'd really love to show off more. I really want this game to succeed because I think it's so creative, it's so packed with content, it's so well done. The puzzle design's really clever. There are bosses as well. You know, there's a lot of content in this. So Invisigun Reloaded, it's something I've really enjoyed. It's available right now on the eShop. It's around £16 in the UK and $20 in the US. So please go buy it, support the devs. I'd love to see this game take off because I think it's so original. It's really well done, and I think it really does deserve to get an audience. That's all we've got time for in this video though. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the content so far. Please let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you'd like to see me cover on the channel, or if there's any games or any information out there that you'd like me to talk about more. Obviously people have asked for Kickstarter videos, so I'm going to put one of those together very soon, and I'm going to show off some games that I've been enjoying in 2019. And also some of the games I'm excited for that could be in potential Nindies Direct, or even in a major Nintendo Direct that's coming up. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please, obviously, like I said, get in the comments down below. If this is your first time, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It really does help the channel grow. And I hope you enjoyed Invisigun Reloaded, and I'll see you on the next video.